My dear friends and the students, today we are here to discuss about the steering gear maintenance requirements and various faults arise during the steering operations and how to do the isolation of a steering gear. That is the main theme. Okay, in this slide, the maintenance requirements start. How this one, you can see that this maintenance requirement, the very first column says about the time period, and the checks and routines are there in the second column. Time period, that means now the very first thing is your daily checks. As you can see that what are the daily requirements to be checked when you are going to the steering gear. Inspect the sliding and the moving parts for the sufficient lubrication. Without that, the sliding parts have the friction to face and the wear and tear will be more, or maybe the leakages. So the inspection is required. Check for sufficient quantity of the grease and for proper functioning of the greasing mechanism. Of course, the greasing requirement is the total quantity of grease is there or not. There is a marking that needs to be checked, and the greasing is going on from the rudder carrier bearing or not. That is also required. Automatic greasing is done in the present day systems where the steering gear is in operation. That also is there. You have to just check that. Keep a good watch. Inspect all connecting linkages. Inspect the pump seals, pipe connections for leakages. Leakages should be avoidable. It should not be there. If at all, then you have to take corrective action. Check for sufficient oil level in the reservoirs. Check for temperature and pressure of the hydraulic oil. Any deviations from the normal value must be reported. Check for the running hydraulic pump for the correct functioning. Check the ammeter reading of the pumps. Very important. And the level, when we talk about the replenishing tank level, must be verified during the rounds, and the storage tank, one complete system replenishment is also being required. Now we are going to go for the every week test. That is your check various alarms and emergency changeovers. That is there, that needs to be understood. Check the communication from bridge to steering room. That is very good if you are checking every week. Repeat the procedure with the sound powered telephone, because there are two telephones. One is the normal, and another one, if suppose there is a blackout, then you can use the sound powered telephone. So that also should be checked in the weekly basis, or if not, at least monthly basis. Every month, check the clean hydraulic oil filters or replace them as the maker's recommendations. So hydraulic oil filters inspection cleaning is being required monthly. Every 3 monthly, try out the emergency steering, that is the requirement. Local control stations in steering gear and log down in the logbook. Emergency steering, all the officers, engineers, as well as the navigation side, whoever is the able seafarer, they are doing that. They have to confirm this. Every 6 monthly, collect hydraulic oil samples and send the same to a SOR or laboratory analysis. So 6 monthly, the lube oil analysis are being sent. So the representative samples, from where exactly the sample has to be collected, from there it has to be taken and sent. And every dry dock, as per the continuous survey of the machines, complete overhaul of the steering gear system, which requires the replacement of the ram seals and measurement of the bearing wear down, that is also being required. That has to be done. Now we are going to discuss about the abnormal noise from the pump. These are the faults. The maintenance schedules we have already discussed. So abnormal noise from the pump. If you observe that the abnormal noise is coming, then what all are the probable causes? The second column talks about the causes and the third column talks about the remedies. So first, filter is clogged, possible. So clean the filter so that the proper oil flow can happen. Directional control valve is stuck. Rectify the directional control valve. Maintenance or the replacement is required, has to be done. Pump base foundation mountings, yes, the mountings tightness has to be checked, and the resilient packings which are there, it should be in good condition, it should not be brittle for the long time it is there, so it has to be replaced if required. Fasteners conditions must be checked. Internal wear of the working components, that is also to be checked, and overall renew as per the requirement. For that you have to have the investigation, you have to have the proper overhauling. Transmission of vibration of pipings and pumpings which is connected to the pumps. Of course, the vibration also causing the noise. So converting into the noisy energy into the pumps. So this is very common part. So this has to be checked. And if any clamps or any thing which is basically holding the pipes and all, so that has to be checked. And if it is loose, it has to be secured. Now we are going to discuss about the another fault which is being observed, sluggish rudder movement. So sluggish means as per the required time interval the movement of the rudder is not there. So what can be the probable causes? First, presence of air in the system. This is going to reduce the rudder movement speed. So purge out the air from the system. We are going to discuss this afterwards. The solenoid of the directional control valve is not functioning properly. So this is the fault again for the solenoid valve operation. So rectify the directional control valve. Rudder carrier bearing running dry due to the lack of greasing. Yes. So if the grease is there, then the movement will be smooth, frictionless, or you can say it cannot be frictionless, but the reduce quite a bit. So if that is there, so greasing must be regularly checked, as we have seen it is the daily requirement. So rectify the fault. Rudder breached, hold. So rudder is breached, hold, and the rudder repair is being required, which has to be done in dry dock. Pump performance below par, overall and renew. Relief valves, bypass valves leaking, then of course the overhauling is being required. Identification of fault must be there and overhauling must be. Next, there is no rudder movement at all. No rudder movement, then the causes are this. No pressure developed by the hydraulic pump. Hydraulic pump must be checked, rectify the problem and develop the pressure. Lubrication is not sufficient. Lubrication is being required, as we have seen in the previous slide, the greasing and all. Rudder carrier bearing jammed. Reason has to be found out. Inspection is required. Why it is jammed? Internal factor or the external factor. Inspect and rectify the faults. Rudder stalk badly twisted. Grounding or collision incident has been occurred. Inspection and rectification is being required. Proper corrective decision is to be required. Leaky valves, of course, which we have seen previous slides, the overhauling or replacement. Mostly replacement. If the spare is being there, then you can replace, and afterwards the investigation is being carried out. Pump badly worn out, overall and renew the pumps. That is also the another part. Here now we are going to discuss about the safe isolation of the system. How we are going to isolate the steering systems. So this is the checklist. So first column talks about the actions required, and in the second column you can tick mark. Okay. So remove the auto standby pump from the auto position. This is the first step. Stop the electric motor of the hydraulic pump. Second, control room circuit breaker must be put off. Third, electric isolation permit must be obtained and the local electrical panel circuit breaker must be put off. Fourth, shut off relevant isolating valves on the piping circuits between pumps and the actuators, a storage tank and replenishing tank. So relevant valves must be stopped. Inform the bridge, display the main at work warning board so that no one should start the system again, and it should be perfectly isolated and you can carry out the maintenance schedules. Thank you. As we have discussed about the steering gear maintenance schedule, the various faults arises, their remedies and the safe isolation. So in the coming videos I will come back with the steering further requirements or the explanation or the working part of it. Thank you all of you. I hope you guys understood this. Thank you.